Roll. Hey, beautiful people. What's up? What's up? What's up? Big discovery on Khafre. Kind of been a little bit of a hiatus from my YouTube for quite some time now. Sometimes you just gotta wait. You just gotta wait until discoveries come and things come along that are pertinent, or just a major discovery like this one here with the tomography scientist Corrado Malanga of the University of Pisa and Filippo Bondi of the University of Strathclyde scanned the Khafre pyramid and uncovered what appears to be an underground system stretching for 2 kilometers beneath all 3 major pyramids. We're talking, as far as I'm concerned, if you've been following me, you know I'm all about the Geyser control technology, Noah floods, and we're going to drill down into this like the previous videos. We're just going to keep beating this thing until it gets to where it needs to go. All right, so it's just a typical video I usually put out. We'll just hit a couple of these slides and walk through it. Here's the 3 guys that put together this unbelievable discovery there. Relatively, lately, it was like 5-6 days ago, they dropped a bomb on the planet, and then here you go. So really amazing structures that they found underneath. And this is some of the early what do they call it, tomography that they come up with. These structures are the same shapes as so-called Z structures found inside the pyramid of Khufu. Above the ceiling of the so-called Pharaoh's King Chamber, the Z appears to be connected to geometrical pathways, and along these structures, additional secondary structures are visible from various satellite images as shown in some of the tomographic images, below. The analysis of this data obtained using entirely non-invasive techniques are briefly summarized below. These findings allow us to construct a 3D model of the entire complex. The examination of dozens of tomographic images obtained from different angles using Capella space and Umbra radar enables a 3D reconstruction of most of the objects inside the pyramid of Khafre. Below, we present some images from our 3D analysis. All right, so this doesn't make much sense, but they will in a few seconds. All right, so this is what these 3D imaging computers can do. Notably, 8 of the structures arranged in 2 parallel rows from north to south descend to a depth of 648 meters. That's like 1/3 of a mile, merging into 2 large cubic structures measuring approximately 80 meters square. So, I mean, these are enormous structures, heavy, a lot of weight, and this is the type of technology you need to deal with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of PSI coming up from these geysers when they do explode from down below. All right, this is inside the pyramid itself. You have like the representations of the King's Chamber. Now, my earlier videos, check out my earlier videos. These are separation vessels. These are, they pressurize. They're like pressure cookers or drums, steam drums on boilers. They hold the pressure, and they're built to bleed off. Like, they're not built just to encapsulate and hold this pressure back. They're built to keep these things to bleed off over time, more like a relief valve or a reducing station. Actually, a reducing station would be the best that I could come up with. So it reduces the pressure, it separates the air and the water. These are like separation, de-aeration devices, and we'll get into a little bit more as we bounce through these pictures rather. So this is an overview of, starting at the pyramid itself, the structures inside the pyramid, and then you have these aqueducts that come up from beneath the grade the grotto of the Giza Plateau. So a closer view of the, these are like King's Chamber constructed, massive chambers on the floor of Khafre. And you can see some ductwork, aqueducts, ductworks going into them, tying them all together. So it's pretty complex network of plumbing, obviously. This is what we have in Great Pyramid of Giza. As the water comes through the antechamber, water, it gets separated and, it bleeds off the high pressure gases and stuff like that. You also have the shafts that come up out of the north and south wall. I think that's the north wall, south wall here. And those are the shafts, as I say in my earlier videos, those are in there for warning purposes. They let you know that we're getting into the geyser season, things are heating up down below. There's all these pyramids, these three large pyramid places on the planet, China, Egypt, and Mexico, that area of the world, they're over large subterranean freshwater oceans, 34 miles deep, right? So just keep that in mind. We'll touch base on that in a few more slides. But for the most part, these things are reducing stations. The primary purpose is to keep this stuff out of the atmosphere and not have the world go into a snowball Earth, which is the after effect of the Great Flood. We go into the Great Flood and then we go into the Great Ice Age, unbeknownst to everybody on the planet. Again, another look at the, the King's Chambers. I call them the King's Chambers, but because that's what it's built like in Khafre. And there we go here. Now we're getting a little side view of what's going on. These is like 8 giant tubes that go down, 650 whatever kilometers deep. They tie into ductwork. There's, aqueducts. They actually tie into these relieving stations in the base of Khafre's pyramid. So these are water separating, gas separating devices, steam. I mean, this stuff comes up from below. It's superheated, high pressure, beyond what we're capable of doing in the maybe not below, but I mean this is similar to controlling a nuclear fission inside of a reactor. This is it's not nuclear, but I mean we're looking at the pressures and temperatures that you relatively have inside of an operating reactor in today's nuclear power plants. So we're talking the extreme limits of metallurgy, material science, extreme limits of pressure, extreme limits of temperatures, and everything that's associated, anything coming up from the transition zone on the planet. There's another view here. I mean, this stuff's absolutely amazing. So it kind of giving you a shot of what's going on. I mean, they say these are pathways. They could be structural members, to hold these long stone, granite, whatever they're made out of, cylindrical tubes together. Or they could be inspection, ports that you can walk down around them and then see how these things are working. I mean, we're talking long vertical drops, just an incredible amount of engineering. I mean, I don't think, we don't even have the technology on the planet to even do this stuff, never mind make the pyramids. We just don't got it, Here we go right here. So we got the 8 cylindrical structures identified in tomographic images appear as vertical wells, hollow inside, surrounded by descending spiral pathways. So that's basically in a nutshell. That's kind of like what we're talking about here. Determine the full extent of the underground structure beneath that. All right, you can read that. Kind of just lifting these pictures off of this study here. So these 8 tubes go into these big giant square boxes. Presume they're granite, and then they go all the way up to under Khafre. But you're talking like a third of a mile down You got these 80 meter by 80 meter, you know, containers. Obviously, in my mind, this is like, you know, at the level of where these, you know, some kind of a vertical tube that goes all the way down into these subterranean oceans. Okay, so these more or less connect to whatever's underneath. They're built right there, and then they get down another 30 some odd miles to the surface of these subterranean oceans, right, which are stable right now. But we're going to get into what makes them unstable a little bit. It's kind of a little bit more of imagery that they're getting from their equipment, radar and side scan. And we're going to get into the operation of the Earth and what happens it triggers these things that puts them into service. So you got the Earth's upper mantle, and you got the freshwater ocean under the Sahara pyramids. Again, they're under the Shen pyramids in China, and down in Mexico, they're 30 some odd miles below these pyramids. And there's a place called the transition zone, and that eventually heats up. As we're heating up right now on Earth, eventually we hit this, you know, saturation temperature of whatever the core is, and then water starts to come up again. You know, it's 5 times the amount of ocean water in the transition zone. And, you know, so basically when everything comes up and goes through those manifolds, it hits the subterranean chamber. If this is GP1, and this is all to control enormous geyser pressure. So you'll have the water come up here. Just say you get an active geyser, comes up here, goes up to the you know, Grand Gallery. These actually move up. People think these are like they're granite plugs, but before the little whatever they call that passageway was made, the pressure would actually push those sliding granite blocks up at the end of the Grand Gallery, and the water and the gas pressure would go up into the Grand Gallery and then make its way into the you know, the portcullis chamber, then into the King's chamber. Then the water would bleed out, and pressure would bleed off, and then a lot of the pyramid sand, you know, it's built to bleed off water. It also has the 2 vents that warn the general population, hey, things are coming, you know, watch out and all that stuff. So you got your subterranean chambers here and here, and obviously they don't have the new discovered ductwork tied in yet, but that's what these things do. And then when it hits a certain pressure, the actual doors open up. The doors are swing loaded. What are they? I don't know, whether they're limestone or granite doors on the casing of the pyramid. They'll actually open up under pressure and bleed the pressure out if it's too much, to protect the pyramid from being disintegrated. Just like Menkaure, if you can see the doorway of Menkaure, that was blown out, just blew right out because it couldn't handle the pressure. So these things are set up to deal with some extreme pressure, maybe 10,000 to 100,000 psi. On and off. Like you might have surges, like massive surges, you know, that are coming up different times during what we call the geyser season. There's another picture of kind of give you a little bit more of a, you know, a descriptive idea of the water flow. So the water goes up here. This thing was like an inspection, or maybe they redesigned it to go up here at some time during the lifetime of the pyramid. But originally, before this well shaft was made, these blocks actually slide up out of the way under pressure, and the water and the steam and everything goes up into the 2 chambers. And again, like the Queen's chamber was decommissioned at some point, and then the King's chamber was you know, installed above this. And like I said earlier, the water does come out and notifies, alarms people, you know, signals to people, hey, get in the boat, water's coming in a relatively short amount of time. Unfortunately, all the pyramids are open for entertainment, tourism, And that's the worst possible condition. Like if this stuff went off today, the planet would be annihilated with everything going into the atmosphere. All this crap going into the atmosphere. The chief priority of all these pyramids sitting over all these massive freshwater oceans is to make sure it never sees the atmosphere as steam, okay, and water. So anyway, there's a lot of geysers in the ocean, but the ocean can handle geysers. It can condense they'll keep the water, the hot water coming up. It'll condense it and keep it from going airbound. Not 100%, but it'll maintain and suppress the water from hitting the atmosphere. But basically, there's two scenarios. You got the pyramids open. You got snowball Earth, where there's a massive loss of life, right? And then you have the other scenario: pyramids are closed, operating the way they're supposed to be. You descend into a nice, easy, slow, methodical time of descending into an ice age, where life has a chance to adapt to the changing temperatures. Okay, so that's what this is all about. This is all geoengineering to benefit life on the planet and make it more livable. So yeah, you'll have an ice age, but you're still gonna have places on the planet that'll have 2 seasons or even 4 seasons. As you go closer to the equator, and then you just go through the ice age, and then you go through the warming trend. So this is what happens when you do have a geyser explode. And when the geysers do explode, the first thing that goes is the conveyor belts. That's what drives us into the ice age. The conveyors get wiped out. It completely annihilates the nice little conveyor system we have in the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian Ocean, and so the tempering of the higher latitudes eventually stops. I mean, there's a warming trend when you're going through this particular event, a geyser event. But once the geysers stop, the water recedes, goes back down to wherever it came from, and then you drift back into an ice age for another 100,000 years. Hope that makes some sense. Sounds good to me anyway. Going the wrong direction. There's a little breakdown of what we're living on Earth. Okay, here's the transition zone. This is 5 times the amount of ocean surface water that we have, and there's a little tiny. You see a little bit of a 1 inch compared to a 5 inch, representation of surface water. So what happens is we hit a saturation point in the transition zone. It erupts. This water goes up to those freshwater subterranean oceans under the pyramids, and causes it to obviously boil, explode, build up pressure. And then that's what the pyramids are up there for, is to keep this stuff out of the atmosphere and on land. This is the technology on land to keep this stuff from going airbound. So for the most part, this is what's going on. I mean, it's just standard operating procedures until we hit the saturation point with water. This is a good representation of a geyser. This is what's going on in Europa. Europa has geysers, and when they launch, they go up 120 miles above the surface of the moon, Europa. Europa's like, I don't know, it's a 2,000 mile diameter, where Earth's 8,000 miles diameter. I think Earth's moon is like 2,600 mile diameter. So, it's got a heated core. It's a lot of Europa is like a miniature Earth. It's pretty similar. It's got oceans, it's got a bolted core, it's got a magnetic field, it's got a lot of stuff going for it. But right now it's just stuck in this never-ending, perpetual geyser season. Let's see, and then we got this gives you a breakdown of different language, but this is for the most part the size of that subterranean freshwater ocean under the Giza Plateau, and obviously encompasses 5 countries, Chad, Sudan, Libya, Egypt, 4 countries. And it's massive. These things are massive bodies of water, 34 miles under the surface of the Earth. All right. Keep going works. All right, here we go. This is technology. You have China, freshwater ocean, the same size, if not bigger, than the one in Egypt. You have one in Egypt, and you have freshwater subterranean oceans here. So when we go into geyser launching season, these places have that technology that we're looking at in Giza. Maybe a little bit cruder somewhere else, but we don't know. China's like gets an A for not opening up the pyramids. A+ for China. Leave the pyramids closed. It's better off that way. And they have some huge megalithic stone, that have been carved out. So whatever technology was used in Egypt, there's hundreds of signs that technology, stone cutting and moving, was also being done in China. So we're seeing soft pyramids, but they're like twice the height of Giza Plateau pyramids. I mean, they're like 1,000 feet. A lot of these pyramids over in China. And you got some sophisticated structural stuff in Mexico also. So eventually, this is the technological advanced society came here and made this place livable, occupiable year-round, and survive this season, which I've said before is the Geyser season. These are the pyramid overhead views. Like you got China pyramids right here. You got the Mexican pyramids right here, and then you have the Mexico's pyramids, and then you have the Great Pyramid of Giza. And these things, everybody's like, oh, this is the Orion configuration. The reason these things are shifted, like the Orion configuration, dog leg, whatever other terms are out there, is because the main outlet on these pyramids, they blow out. So just say this is the north, right? You got, this is the north, that's the north, that's the north. When these things hit their maximum allowable working pressure, when those doors swing open, the water just shoots straight up to the Nile in Egypt, okay? I think this is the north, so it goes north. Here it is, north. Is that north? I forget, whatever. But anyways, it's so when they do blast off, they don't hit the pyramid in front of it. It just exhausts and it goes straight up. And it actually goes straight up to and the ones in Egypt, because I was there, I looked at them. They go straight out to the Nile. The Nile actually comes up, on the east side of the pyramids and hooks a left and goes north for X amount of miles, and then goes back up to the Red Sea. So there's a lot of intricate, very detailed, sophisticated water management, geyser management. When these things do bleed out, but the main purpose of the pyramids is to keep this stuff from going airbound. There we go. And what else we got? There's some more pyramids. These are the pyramids in China. Got my Boston accent. China. They're in China. This is the state of human consciousness at this time. Pyramids are humanity's tombs if they are not used correctly. So here's a dude looking at, the Discovery Channel, one of those other channels, looking at the pyramids with the doors wide open, So anyways, that means they all need to be closed back up and repaired. So essentially, this is where we're heading. You know what I mean? Like right now, there seems to be, a lag in understanding what's going on, and that's where I and a bunch of other people come in, and we try to push the human consciousness in the right direction and reclaim this technological advanced equipment, use it for the benefit of all life on the planet. It's not just the human beings. It's like all life on the planet relies on containing and controlling these geysers. Here's this guy here. He's doing his own thing. He's doing the Noah dance. And here's my book. It's on Amazon. You want to get the skinny on what I'm talking about. It's much more detailed than this little 24-minute video I'm making here. And all right, good to be here. Good to come back. And I got a few other videos I'll probably be doing some work on. And all right, peace out, people. Any questions? Hit me on the comments.